I'd call this a no touch for myself. Since you're not at support or resistance, you can't buy or sell it. Another way to look at it is no touch, so you just sit back and say, okay, then let it do what it wants with the Bitcoin and crypto analysis. Next, we'll talk about the commodities. In general, though, what we see is that this chart continues to stay above the range. At the moment, the U.S. debt problem is worth $35 trillion, and former President Donald Trump is looking into Bitcoin as a possible solution. After talking with Bitcoin expert David Bailey about it, Trump is now thinking about this, which is a big change in policy. Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, met with President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador not long ago to praise his plans to make the country a Bitcoin hub. Because of these plans, she thinks that El Salvador's GDP could grow 10 times in 5 years. As of late, Bitcoin has been staying stable near the top of its falling range, which means that it is getting stronger before it might go up. Even though the market is trying to keep prices low, volatility is still low, and big cryptocurrencies only see small changes. This steadiness could mean that the crypto market is set up well for future growth. We have a very clear path from pivot low to pivot low. Turn high to the right through here. We went over it, came back down, and tested it again. That's 3 days in a row that we've tested that line. It's still there. As of right now, Bitcoin still has a positive bias as long as it doesn't close below that line every day. And it's held up really well so far. You have to be impressed by how strong Bitcoin is. The stock market went down yesterday. That being said, NVIDIA was up about $9 yesterday, which is my sign for risk on, risk off. As we speak, the stock market is once again going down, but Bitcoin is still making progress. There are people who want to buy Bitcoin right now, even though the stock market is a little weak. Again, the idea is that if it stays in this area, it will finally move up, which should take us to the $74,000 level. That'll be the next big test and barrier level for Bitcoin up here. Right now, let's quickly take a look at Ethereum and see what it tells us. Now, Ethereum got the ETF approvals they needed again, or at least other companies did, so they could start selling those ETFs. We saw the big first move too. Then, after the ETF was approved, things have pretty much gone backwards. We're not yet at the double top. We're not going to help. I'd call this a no touch for myself. If there is no touch, you're not at support, which means you can't buy it, and if there is no hold, you can't sell it. You just say, okay, whatever it wants, and then you sit back. For those who want to buy, there is a level right here if it wants to drop like this and dump out, and if it really wants to go up, there might be a level around $4,100 where you can sell it. I wouldn't short it there though. I'm keeping my eye on a number between $4,200 and $4,300. It's on an upward rising trend line. That is something I will show you guys another time. But no matter what, in this band, there is neither close resistance nor close support. You can just sit back and say, okay, I'll go look at another chart if you don't want to trade with me as a technical trader. Again, I trade on the shorter term. Let me show you how to do some Cardano here. Since I haven't done Cardano in a while, I know a lot of people who like it. Let's look at ADA USDT now. The really interesting thing about Cardano is that, believe it or not, it's making what could be a bearish pattern of consolidation. That's the only thing. Just so you know, I like Cardano in general. For the most part, though, this is just a case where it hasn't been able to turn things around yet. This is a very clear example of what I mean. If I were to ask you, and I know some of you have been watching for a while and know your technical analysis, what kind of trend is this if you have a down move and then you go like this? It shows a downward trend. That means it's up to me to just see them for what they are. That's the kind of pattern we're seeing here. As of right now, it's still keeping support around $0.4443 on the other hand. If that level breaks, I have one I'd like to buy for about $0.35 5. I'd put my hand up for $0.35 5 well. Once more, does that mean it will fall apart? In fact, I mean that a bear sign can fail, but it's great that we know when it doesn't work, right? It will be very clear if it breaks above this trend line. Should the price go up, say above $0.50, bearish trend will be broken, and the price will start to move up. You want to be able to separate your basic levels so you know where it's bearish, where it breaks down, and where the bearish pattern fails and breaks to the upside. That's the great thing about trading. And it gives you these amazing new insights that really put you in charge, right? Being in charge and knowing what's most likely to happen are the most important things. Guys, I told you today to do a little sideways chop. Before the dollar and prices fell because of today's economic news, we were down. Just so everyone knows though, the news today isn't very important. After 2 big changes to the 10-year, it's giving people a break. But mostly it's all about the PCE data that comes out tomorrow at 8:30. Then we'll either see this as bearish or listen, which is the same thing we talked about with Cardano, right? What kind of pattern could this be making, right? Listen up again, folks. Let us see what happens tomorrow. It will become strong if it breaks back above this trend line that goes up. As long as it stays below this level, that's bearish consolidation from a chance point of view. In the short run, the odds are against the upside. Long term, you guys know I'm a big bull. Let's look at the facts from before the market opens. Here it is again, the SPY chart. SPY is the ETF that tracks the SP 500. This is where we get the pre-market info. This is the chart for 10 minutes. This tells us every 10 minutes what's going on in the markets. All right, so first, this is what we have, the price movement. You can see the shift that happened during the night. After that, we are trading back up a little bit. Even though we're not at the lows anymore, we are still down from yesterday's close. That's something to keep an eye on over here on the SPY. That means we are down for the day. We're going to get right to the reason for this drop, these numbers on CRM. Look at this drop. You saw this crash happen live yesterday if you watched Trading the Close with me. Another interesting thing is that this level 224 is a very high expert level. In the pre-market, look at how the price is moving around it. I'll now show you the daily chart so you can see where this number comes from. In other words, how does Gareth get to these levels? And the answer is pretty easy, right? It looks